Hello and welcome back to another episode of Diablo II D&D. My name is David, and today we're going to be going over the creation of the martial arts assassin's finishing moves with a few additions to some other effects in the subclass. So this is a continuation of the video I did 2 weeks ago on the changes necessary, or the changes I made, which were necessary to the martial arts assassin. What I've done here is added to those, not those changes, but added to the last a couple abilities that needed to be made, which were the finishing moves. So in order to understand why I did the build the way that I did it, you need to understand the game mechanics behind what the martial arts assassin is working with. So the martial arts assassin in Diablo II is a generator spender build. You generate charges with your Tiger Strike, Cobra Strike, Phoenix Strike, Fists of Fire, Claws of Thunder, and Blades of Ice, and then you expend all of those charges on either a regular attack or an enhanced attack called a finishing move. There are 4 finishing moves: Dragon Talon, Dragon Claw, Dragon Tail, and Dragon Flight. These all have different effects. They have different powers and do different, stuff. And in fact, there are actually some assassin builds that focus entirely on pumping up just one of those abilities and using that as your basic attack. Dragon Talon is a kick. It's a knockback. And in Diablo 2, it adds a couple of kicks, and then knocks your opponents out of the way. It's a good defensive ability. It's offense and defense, but it is only single target, I believe. Dragon Claw, on the other hand, is not like that. This is much like the Barbarian's Frenzy, or Double Swing, or the Paladin's Zeal, where it's just a bunch of attacks. Now, because this is a claw, and the martial arts or the assassin has claw type weapons, which I called the Battle Gauntlet in the adaptation because I didn't want to. I could have put a Qatar. I could have made it Qatar, but meh. The Dragon Claw requires you to be dual wielding claw class weapons, and it has nice little synergies with the Claw Mastery. So you put on Bartuk's or some other. I think Plague, the rune word Plague could be used in claws, and then you run around and you smack people with dual wielded claws. Dragon Tail is an area of effect. It hits a creature and it does an explosion, pushes them back. Again, a very defensive option. It doesn't knock back your opponents as far as Dragon Talon does, but it is an area of effect. And fun fact, I believe it actually transforms all of your physical damage into fire damage. So Dragon Tail also pumps up Tiger Strike, because Tiger Strike increases your physical damage, which then gets translated into fire damage for Dragon Tail. And then lastly is Dragon Flight, which is a great movement ability. It teleports you to an enemy and then kicks them. That's basically it. It's a great one to put just 1 point in, so that you have a get out of groups of enemies free card. But altogether, these 4 dragon aspects, these finishing moves, offer a large variety, a variety, because 2 of them do basically the same thing, but a variety of playstyles. So if you want to have Dragon Flight, for example, you could be bouncing around the battlefield, attacking a bunch of different creatures, or you could be a boss killer with your Dragon Talon or Dragon Claw, or you can be a clearer where you group up a bunch of enemies and then slam them with that Dragon Tail. So that's what I kind of tried to go for with these finishing moves. They're here presented in alphabetical order, and let's go over them. Finishing move. At 15th level, you learn to unleash powerful finishing moves. Choose one of the following options. Whenever you gain a level in this class, you can replace the finishing move you know with another finishing move. This is just boilerplate for both the B strike and elemental strikes as well. These are in, like I said, alphabetical order instead of the way that they are presented in Diablo 2. So, meh. First off, Dragon Claw. You channel the dragon's ruthlessness. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can expend 2 combo points. At the end of each of its turns for 1 minute, it makes a Constitution saving throw. On a fail, it takes necrotic damage equal to a roll of your martial arts die, or half as much damage on a success. If you expend 2 additional combo points, the creature has disadvantage on the saving throw. Now, keen-eyed people among you, or keen-eared people among you, may notice that that is not what Diablo does. Diablo has extra attacks. You run in and you slash. I decided to go with a bleed instead, for a couple different reasons. One, it gets kind of the same idea across, that it is a very vicious attack. One of them adds multiple attacks, that you're attacking quite, quote-unquote, recklessly. Whereas one is you're going all in and, causing enough damage to put a bleed onto them. To note, there is no saving throw to set up the effect. It is a guaranteed, I believe at this point is 1d10. It's a guaranteed 10d10 necrotic damage, given the possibility for a... mitigated by the possibility of successes on the Constitution saving throws. The reason why I'm kind of comfortable with it being as powerful as it is because, one, it doesn't stack. You can't stack up 2 different bleeds on the same creature because the same one creature can only be under the effect of one thing at a time, right? 2, it's damage over time, so you can. Even if the creature gets away, it'll have the capability to cast a healing spell or drink a potion or something else. So it may die, but it also has a likely after it gets away. But it also has that possibility of you're not attacking an additional time and potentially dealing a ton more damage all at once. It turns it from burst damage into damage over time, which is kind of a way to mitigate its effectiveness. Secondly, because it's a Constitution saving throw, it's actually... most creatures tend to have a pretty good Constitution, so it's it's not terrible. The reason why I added those 2 additional combo points to give it disadvantage on the saving throw is so that you have something that you can put some more points into. You have to hit 4 times in a row, not in a row, but 4 times to get this single effect off. And so that kind of delays your damage, at least for until next turn, because you attack twice. If you hit twice with your attack action, and then you hit with your bonus action, you don't do anything else on that turn, and then next turn you hit and then expend your 4 combo points to set up that bleed. There's a couple things I'm not too keen on. First off, it's an automatic setup and effect, but I also didn't want to make it so that you're expending combo points and not getting anything out of it. You've already hit the creature, I don't know, but the idea is you set up Dragon Claw on one creature, you go to the next creature, you set up Dragon Claw again. You're dropping down this damage over time basically every other turn, and then if you have one boss, then it's not going to be as effective because then you've got one damage over time set up, and then that's it. And of course, another knob that can be tweaked here is how many combo points it costs. This is definitely the most expensive one. There is nothing else. There's nothing else that costs 4, but there are a few that cost 2. I mean, technically Cobra Strike, but meh. So I'm interested in hearing people's feedback on this one. It is something that I could tweak. That's another thing. Is part of the reason why it's not an additional attack is because that means I don't have to put in a text of saying that says you don't gain combo points for the attack. which just kind of makes it really awkward. All right, let's move on to the next one. Dragon Flight. You channel a dragon's speed. When you make a weapon attack, notice that this is before you hit, you can expend 1 combo point to teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space you can see within 5 feet of your target before making the attack. If you moved at least 10 feet, you have advantage on the attack. So this is, I feel, a pretty good approximation of how Diablo actually works, or how the Diablo made the skill work. This one is your ping pong ball, or what's the one that has the flippers? Oh my gosh, how can I not remember this game? Pinball. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, this is your ping pong or pinball build. You want to hit this creature on this side of the battlefield and then teleport, use the combo point from that hit to teleport to the next one so that you always have advantage on your attack if you move at least 10 feet. This also does mean that you can teleport to the other side of a large or huge creature and still have advantage. So, meh. It doesn't directly increase the amount of damage you deal, it just gives you advantage. So I'm comfortable with leaving this one as just 1 combo point. I did move it from 30 feet up to 60 feet. I could be convinced to knock it back down to 30 feet because of that advantage. But I figured we'll try this out for a while. Next up is Dragon Tail, not the show. You channel a dragon's power. When you make a melee weapon attack, you can instead expend 1 combo point and have each creature of your choice within 10 feet of you make a strength saving throw. On a fail, a creature takes fire damage equal to a roll of your martial arts die and is knocked prone, or takes half as much damage and is not knocked prone on a success. So what this one does is it's an area of effect, fire damage and knockdown. Notably, this is not an attack. This replaces an attack, which means you do not get a combo point for it. That's one of the reasons why it is only 1 combo point and not, say, 2 or more, even though it's an area of effect. So you're potentially hitting 2 or 3 creatures. It is only 1 roll of your martial arts die, which you would be getting with your attack, but that ability score modifier added to the attack kind of translates as your second damage die, so you're really only dealing additional damage on that 3rd or 4th creature. Now, being able to knock prone is very powerful, and I realized I give the class a lot of abilities that knock prone, but keep in mind that you only get 1 from each level. I think Claws of Thunder and Dragon Tail are the only ones that knock. Oh, no, sorry, Dragon Talon does as well. Dragon Tail and Dragon Talon, however, are exclusive, are mutually exclusive, so I'm comfortable with it. There are other ways to get advantage on the attack, however, so meh. Dragon Talon. You channel a dragon's strength. When you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, you can expend 2 combo points to have it fall prone. No save. And you move it up to 10 feet away from you to an unoccupied space, provided the target is no more than 1 size larger than you. If it can't move the full distance, it takes bludgeoning damage equal to a roll of your martial arts die. So this is kind of I want to call it the bully maneuver, where you knock somebody up against a wall and you play ping pong with them instead. You're hitting them, you go hit, get those 2 combo points, immediately burn those 2 combo points to knock it 10 feet away. Oh, you're up against a wall, boom, you fall prone and take additional bludgeoning damage equal to a roll of your martial arts die. And then I get that extra attack from my bonus action, boom, hit them with advantage and apply, Tiger Strike or something like that. You can also push people around the battlefield and, push them into area of effects, or, knock them prone so the barbarian or the fighter can come up and wail on them. So those are the finishing moves. There's not really much else to say. Dragon Claw was the most changed about them, but the other ones, I think the only changes that might need to be made is the combo point cost, and maybe whether or not you can knock prone. So, I like them. I really need to get feedback on them to see how well they do. Dragon Claw just doesn't feel right to me. I don't want to make an additional attack, but I also know that might be the most elegant way to do it. I like it because it's unique here. It's not just like, oh look, you got an additional attack, woo. But it does have an effect that is something different. Yeah, I don't know. Well, this is, or I should say, this would be the last bit of it, but I actually added in 2, technically 3, other abilities. So let's go back to level 3 when we pick up the subclass and look at combo points. So the rule of 3s says that 3s are very aesthetically pleasing. So I added another combo points option. We welcome the Flurry of Blows from the Monk. This one uses combo points. It's 2 combo points to make an additional weapon attack as part of your bonus action, but you don't gain combo points for the attack. This way, it again solidifies that very monk flavor that I'm going for, but also ensures that you're not just doing precise aim every turn. Oh no, I hit somebody with my attack, and then my next attack has advantage. It's very linear. It's like, okay, do I want to make 2 attacks, or do I want to, do I want to make an additional attack every other turn, or do I want to have 2 attacks, but one of them has advantage every turn? And that may change depending on if you're fighting mooks versus a boss. So it gives a little bit more flexibility in your decision making. At level 6, under the Elemental Strike, we have Lucky Shot. At 6th level, you turn your most lucky hits into further advantage. When you make an attack roll, notice not a hit, when you make an attack roll with an unarmed strike or assassin weapon and roll a 20 on the die, you gain 2 combo points. So this turns your critical hits into additional combo points. It's going to happen only about 5% of the time, but this does mean that you're going to be getting a little bit more combo points so that you can use them a little bit more. It's not exactly a ribbon feature because it's going to happen about 5% of the time, but it is something that is, it's not nothing. Now, the reason why it is when you roll a 20 on the die and not just a critical hit is because of those effects like Flurry of Blows and Precise Aim that say, oh, you don't gain combo points for the attack. You're not gaining combo points for the attack, which combo points gives it to you on a hit. It's getting combo points on the attack roll, so it's a little different. This does mean that, unfortunately, the Dragon Tail will not give it to you. And then at level 10, under Beast Strike, you have Combat Readiness. At 10th level, you are always prepared for a fight. When you roll initiative, if you have no combo points, you gain 1. So this way, you always have the resource that you are using. You can actually go in and get that first Claws of Thunder off, right on turn 1. It is 10th level, so it's a fairly powerful ability, but it does draw inspiration from I think there's like the Bard, the Battle Master, the Sorcerer, and just a handful of other classes that just say, oh, here's a resource. Well, here's a little bit more resources that you can use. And that's kind of what I did with Lucky Shot as well. And I don't know, maybe those two should be switched. I don't know. But this way you have, just a little bit extra, a little bit more. It's not going to make a huge difference, but it is going to make that it's going to make the subclass flow in combat just a little bit better. So that is it for all of the abilities that I have added to the Martial Arts Assassin. But I would like to go over a couple of the notes that I made while making this. Under combo points options, I have a note that says, instead of granular generator spender, expend all and scale effects. What I was thinking is, instead of saying, oh, you expend X amount of, or like you can, instead of saying, oh, you can expend one combo point and get this effect, and a second combo point, and it has disadvantage on the throw, or, whatever. Instead, just saying, when you activate this effect, you expend all of your combo points, and it scales with how many combo points you've spent. What this will do is turn Elemental Strike and Beast Strike into versions of the Diablo II abilities that are much more accurate to how they actually are. It removes a lot of the fiddliness of, do I want to expend points on Distracting Strike or Flurry of Blows? I can just say, you get an additional die equal to the number of combo points you've expended, or something like that. It does allow the finishing moves to be just normal attacks, instead of saying instead of expending combo points on your finishing moves, you can expend them on your Elemental Strike or your Beast Strike, and then you get the finishing move on top of that. So it's less resource intensive. What I'm probably going to do is build 2 martial arts subclasses and just give them as 2 options to people, which would mean that I am probably going to, in this new version, I'm probably going to take out the combo points options, drop Elemental Strike and Beast Strike down to level 3 and level 6, and then level 10 probably take the Lucky Shot and Combat Readiness and make those your level 10 feature. Let's see. I thought I had more notes, but apparently not. So that is pretty much it. I am half an hour into recording, so I am going to end it there. You can contact me at XenozFan2, that is XenozFan2 on Blue Sky and Reddit. And you can contact the channel directly at Diablo TODND on Blue Sky and YouTube. Thank you much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good whatever.